When your wife inherits $33 million, you'd think the celebration would include you. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. I'm standing in our kitchen, well, Vanessa's kitchen now, watching her throw the most obnoxious party Connecticut has seen since the last hedge fund Christmas bash. My name is Nate Porter, I'm 38, and until 3 weeks ago when my father-in-law croaked, I thought I had a marriage. Turns out I just had a really expensive roommate who occasionally let me sleep in her bed. "Nate, where's the champagne?" Vanessa shrieks from the living room, her voice cutting through the bass-heavy music like a chainsaw through silk. She's wearing a dress that costs more than most people's cars, black, tight, and about as subtle as a neon sign advertising her newfound wealth. I grab another case of Dom Perignon from the wine cellar. Each bottle costs $400. We're going through them like water. The guests don't care. They're here for the spectacle, not the taste. The mansion is packed with Vanessa's crowd, trust fund babies, social climbers, and enough plastic surgery to stock a medical supply warehouse. They treat me like the help, which isn't entirely wrong. I do all the setup, all the cleanup, all the real work, while Vanessa plays hostess. There he is! She grabs the champagne from my hands without so much as a thank you. "Everyone, this is my husband Nate. He's so handy around the house." The way she says handy makes it sound like a communicable disease. Her friends, Leah and Serena, two women who've never worked a day in their lives, giggle like schoolgirls. They're standing next to the pool with some guy I don't recognize. He's young, maybe 25, with the kind of artificially perfect physique that screams personal trainer and protein shakes. "Who's the Ken doll?" I ask Vanessa. "That's Tyler. He's our new pool maintenance specialist." She says it with a straight face, but her eyes are already drifting back to him. Tyler catches her looking and flashes a smile that's probably melted underwear from here to Manhattan. I've been married to Vanessa for 8 years. I know that look. The party gets worse as the night goes on. The music gets louder, the guests get drunker, and Vanessa gets more brazen. I watch her flirt with Tyler by the pool, her hand lingering on his arm, as she laughs at whatever vapid comment he's made. Her friends cheer her on like she's performing in some twisted reality show. "You should do something about that," says a voice behind me. I turn to find Frank Morrison, the security chief Vanessa hired after inheriting the money. He's a big guy, ex-cop, with the kind of presence that makes troublemakers think twice. Right now, he's looking at me with something that might be sympathy. "What would you suggest, Frank? Make a scene at my own wife's party? Your wife?" He raises an eyebrow. "Way she's acting, you sure about that?" Before I can answer, there's a splash from the pool area followed by cheering. Vanessa has somehow ended up in Tyler's arms, both of them waist-deep in the water, her dress clinging to her like a second skin. She's laughing, he's grinning, and everyone's taking pictures. That's when she sees me watching. Instead of looking embarrassed or apologetic, Vanessa gets this defiant gleam in her eye. She pulls Tyler closer and kisses him. Not a friendly peck. A full-on, tongue-wrestling, soft-core adult kiss that makes half the party whoop and the other half reach for their phones. I feel something die inside my chest. Not love. That's been on life support for months. It's respect. Self-respect, maybe, or just the last shred of hope that we could work things out. Vanessa breaks the kiss and looks directly at me. "I don't need you anymore, Nate," she calls out, her words slurred but clear enough for everyone to hear. "Find somewhere else to live, or die. I really don't care which." The party goes quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then someone starts laughing, and suddenly everyone's laughing except me and Frank. "You heard the lady," Frank says, but there's no enthusiasm in his voice. "Time to go." "Frank, you don't have to." "I do, actually. She signs my paychecks." He puts a hand on my shoulder. "Sorry, man. Pack light. I'll give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes to pack up 8 years of marriage. I throw some clothes in a duffel bag, grab my tools from the garage, and walk out to my pickup truck while Vanessa's friends watch from the windows like I'm dinner theater. As I'm pulling out of the driveway, I can hear the party ramping up again. Someone's cranked the music even louder. There's more splashing from the pool, more laughter. I end up sleeping in my truck behind Ray's bar downtown. Ray's my oldest friend, a fellow veteran who tends bar and doesn't ask stupid questions. The truck's bench seat isn't comfortable, but it doesn't leak much, and the parking lot has decent security. At 3 a.m, staring at the ceiling of my pickup, I wonder how everything went so wrong so fast. 3 weeks ago, I thought I had a life, a house, a wife, a future. Now I'm homeless, humiliated, and apparently divorced without anyone bothering to file the paperwork. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Saw the party pics online. Your wife's a real class act. A friend. I delete it without looking at whatever photos are attached. I don't need to see them. I lived through it. The next morning, I'm washing my face in Ray's bathroom when my phone rings. The caller ID says Kessler and Associates, the law firm that handled my father-in-law's estate. Mr. Porter, this is Harold Kessler. I need to see you in my office immediately. If this is about divorce papers, did you actually read your father-in-law's will, Mr. Porter? Vanessa said she inherited everything. I didn't think the details mattered. There's a long pause. Mr. Porter, I strongly suggest you come in. There are some details that might interest you very much. An hour later, I'm sitting in Kessler's office while he explains the most beautiful legal loophole I've ever heard. Vanessa doesn't inherit everything. She inherits everything only if she produces an heir, specifically a child with me, within 18 months of her father's end. If she doesn't, the entire estate goes to charity. Her father was very specific, Kessler explains, adjusting his glasses. He believed you were a stabilizing influence on his daughter. He wanted to ensure the family line continued with someone he considered worthy. What happens if we divorce? She gets nothing. The charity clause kicks in immediately. I lean back in the leather chair, processing this information. Does Vanessa know? She will in about... He checks his watch. 15 minutes. I called her right after I called you. My phone starts buzzing before we finish the meeting. Vanessa's calling. I let it go to voicemail. Then she calls again. And again. The fourth call, I answer. Nate, we need to talk. Her voice is completely different from last night. Gone is the drunken arrogance. She sounds panicked. About what? I thought you didn't need me anymore. I was drunk. I said things I didn't mean. Come home. Please. Home? You kicked me out, remember? Had your security chief escort me off the property? That was a mistake. A huge mistake. Can we meet somewhere? Anywhere you want. I'm quiet for a long moment, letting her sweat. I'll think about it. Nate, please. I hang up. Kessler is smiling. I take it she's received the news? Seems like it. I stand up, shaking his hand. Thanks for the clarification. My pleasure. Your father-in-law was a shrewd man. He knew exactly what he was doing. Walking back to my truck, I feel something I haven't felt in months. Power. For the first time since this whole mess started, I hold the cards. My phone buzzes with a text from Vanessa. Please come home. We can work this out. I love you. I stare at the message for a full minute, then type back. What, no pool boy this time? She doesn't respond. 3 days later, Vanessa shows up at Ray's bar looking like she stepped out of a magazine spread. Designer jeans, silk blouse, hair and makeup perfect, despite the fact that it's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. She's trying way too hard, which tells me everything I need to know about her desperation level. Hi, Nate. She slides onto the bar stool next to me like we're old friends meeting for drinks. You look good? You look expensive. I take a sip of my beer. What do you want, Vanessa? I want to talk about us, about our future. Ray's wiping down glasses behind the bar, pretending not to listen, but I can see him fighting a smirk. He's heard enough of my marriage stories over the years to know this is going to be entertaining. Our future? Last I checked, you were pretty clear about that. Something about finding somewhere else to live or die. She has the decency to look embarrassed. I was drunk and angry, and I just lost my father 3 weeks before that party. You seem to be handling your grief pretty well with the pool boy. Her jaw tightens. Tyler was a mistake, a moment of weakness. A moment. It lasted about 4 hours and involved half the internet. Can we go somewhere private, please? Against my better judgment, I agree. We end up at a coffee shop downtown, sitting across from each other at a small table by the window. Vanessa orders some complicated drink with oat milk and 3 different syrups. I get black coffee. I miss you, she says once we're settled. You miss the inheritance. That's not fair, isn't it? When's the last time you called me just to talk? When's the last time we had dinner together without you checking your phone every 5 minutes? When's the last time you asked about my day or my work or anything about my life? She's quiet for a long moment. I know I haven't been the best wife. You've been a terrible wife, but that's not even the point anymore. The point is you humiliated me in front of 50 people because you thought you could, because you thought I was disposable. I was wrong. No, you were honest, maybe for the first time in years. She reaches across the table and puts her hand on mine. Her skin is soft, manicured, completely free of calluses or scars or any evidence of real work. Come home, Nate. We can start over. We can try to have a baby, build a real family. I look at her hand on mine and feel absolutely nothing. No warmth, no connection, no spark, just expensive moisturizer and desperation. I'll think about it, I say, pulling my hand away. That night, she tries a different approach. She shows up at Ray's bar wearing a dress that's basically lingerie with delusions of grandeur. Every guy in the place stops talking when she walks in. "Buy a girl a drink?" she purrs, sliding up next to me. "You can afford your own drinks now." "I'm not here for the drinks." She spends the next 2 hours trying to seduce me, touching my arm, laughing at things that aren't funny, pressing against me when she leans in to talk. It's like watching a nature documentary about mating rituals, except less authentic. "Remember our honeymoon?" she whispers in my ear. "That little hotel in Napa? We barely left the room for 3 days. I remember. You spent most of it on the phone with your friends, complaining about the thread count on the sheets. That's not how I remember it. That's because you weren't paying attention." She pulls back, frustrated. "What do you want from me, Nate? What do I have to do?" "Nothing. There's nothing you can do. That's the point." She leaves angry, her heels clicking against the floor like gunshots. Ray watches her go, then looks at me. "You know she's not giving up, right?" "I know. She's going to try something else, something worse." He's right, of course. But I underestimate just how low Vanessa's willing to go. A week later, I'm back at Ray's. It's become my unofficial office while I figure out my living situation when this woman walks in. She's stunning in a way that seems almost engineered. Long, dark hair, perfect curves, wearing a red dress that hugs every inch of her body. She looks around the bar like she's searching for someone, then her eyes lock on mine. "Nate Porter?" she says, walking over with a smile that could melt steel. "Do I know you?" "Not yet. I'm Monica. I heard you might be looking for some company." Ray gives me a look that says danger in about 12 different languages, but I'm not thinking clearly. It's been a long week. I've had too many beers, and Monica is the kind of beautiful that makes smart men do stupid things. "Who told you that?" "A mutual friend. She thought we might hit it off." I should walk away. Every instinct I have is screaming that this is a setup. But Monica smells like expensive perfume and possibility, and I haven't felt wanted in longer than I care to admit. "One drink," I tell myself. "What's the damage in one drink?" Famous last words. 3 hours later, I wake up in a hotel room with a headache that feels like it's trying to split my skull in half. Monica is gone. My clothes are scattered around the room like evidence of a crime scene. There's a note on the nightstand. "Thanks for a wonderful evening. Im." I stumble to the bathroom and splash cold water on my face. In the mirror, I look like hell. Bloodshot eyes, stubble, the general appearance of a man who's made some very poor choices. My phone has 6 missed calls from Vanessa and a text. "Hope you had fun last night." That's when it hits me. The mutual friend. The convenient timing. The fact that Monica disappeared without a trace. I've been played. Ray takes one look at me when I walk into his bar later that day and starts laughing. Let me guess. Tall, dark hair. Looked like she stepped out of a magazine. You saw her leave? "Brother, I tried to warn you. That woman screamed set up from the moment she walked in here. Why didn't you stop me? You're a grown man. Besides, you looked like you needed to learn this lesson the hard way." I tell him about Vanessa's text, about the whole situation. Ray listens, nodding occasionally, his expression getting more serious. "So, what's the end game here?" he asks when I'm finished. "I have no idea." "Well, you better figure it out fast, because if Vanessa went to this much trouble to set you up, she's got something bigger planned." 2 weeks later, I find out what. Vanessa calls me, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Nate, I have amazing news. Can you meet me at the house?" "What kind of news?" "The kind that changes everything. Please, just come over." I drive out to the mansion, my former home, feeling like I'm walking into a trap. Vanessa meets me at the door, practically bouncing with excitement. "I'm pregnant," she announces, holding up a pregnancy test like it's a trophy. I stare at the little plastic stick with its 2 pink lines. The timing adds up. The night with Monica was exactly 3 weeks ago. "Congratulations," I say flatly. "Congratulations to both of us. This means we get to keep everything. The house, the money, all of it." Assuming it's mine, her face falls. "Of course it's yours. Who else would it be? Tyler, maybe? Or any of the other guys you've been entertaining while I was sleeping in my truck?" "I haven't been with anyone else. Just you. That night at the hotel." She says it like she was there, like she knows exactly what happened. which of course she does. Funny thing about that night, I say. I don't remember much of it. You were pretty drunk. Yeah, weird how that happened. We stare at each other for a long moment. She knows that I know. I know that she knows that I know. It's like a game of chess where all the pieces are made of lies. So what happens now? She asks. Now we wait for the DNA test. Nate, I'm not signing anything, agreeing to anything, or moving back in until we know for sure whose kid you're carrying. I leave her standing in the doorway of our former dream house, holding her pregnancy test and probably planning her next move. Because there's always a next move with Vanessa. Always another scheme, another angle, another way to get what she wants. But for the first time since this whole mess started, I'm planning ahead too. I hire a private investigator named Jill Reeves. She's a former cop who specializes in marital cases, which is a polite way of saying she catches cheating spouses for a living. She's got short gray hair, sharp eyes, and the kind of no-nonsense attitude that comes from dealing with liars professionally. Your wife hired a woman to seduce you so she could steal your genetic material and impregnate herself, Jill says, reading from her notes. That's a new one. Is it illegal? It's definitely unethical, probably fraud, definitely grounds for annulment if you can prove it. Can we prove it? We can try. Tell me everything you remember about that night. I walk her through the whole evening. Monica showing up out of nowhere, knowing my name, the drinks, waking up alone. Jill takes notes, asks questions, treats it like the crime scene it probably was. First thing we need to do is find Monica, she says. Real name, address, who paid her. You remember anything distinctive about her? Besides the obvious. She had a small scar on her left wrist, looked like a surgical scar, maybe from a broken bone. Good, that's something. What about the hotel? The Marriott downtown, room 412. I'll check their security footage, see if we can get a clear shot of her face. While Jill works on finding Monica, I start documenting everything else. Every conversation with Vanessa, every text message, every interaction. I buy a digital recorder and start carrying it everywhere. The next time Vanessa calls, I'm ready. Nate, I've been thinking about what you said, about the DNA test. And maybe we don't need one. Maybe we can just trust each other. Trust? That's rich, coming from you. I know I've made mistakes. You hired a courtesan to sedate and seduce me so you could steal my seed. That's not a mistake, Vanessa. That's a felony. There's a long pause. I don't know what you're talking about. Monica ring a bell? Red dress, perfect smile, conveniently disappeared after one night? I've never heard that name before in my life. She's lying, of course, but she's good at it. Years of practice. We're doing the DNA test, I tell her. Non-negotiable. Fine, but I want something in return. You're not in a position to negotiate. I'm carrying your child, Nate. Our child. That has to count for something. If it's mine, we'll talk. If it's not, you can explain to your lawyer why you committed paternity fraud. 3 days later, Jill calls with good news. Found her. Monica Chen, 28, lives in Stamford. Works as an escort. High-end, very discreet. And guess who's been paying her bills? Let me guess. Your wife's best friend, Serena Walsh, $5,000 cash, paid the day before your little hotel adventure? Can you prove it? I can do better than that. I can get her to confess. Jill's plan is simple, but effective. She poses as a potential client, sets up a meeting with Monica, and gets her talking. Women like Monica are used to sharing stories with other women, especially when they think they're safe. The meeting happens at a coffee shop in Stamford. I'm sitting 3 tables away, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, while Jill works her magic. I'm looking for someone who can handle a delicate situation, Jill says. A friend of mine mentioned you might be able to help. Monica is cautious at first, but Jill knows how to put people at ease. Within 20 minutes, they're talking like old friends. I had a job last month, Monica says. Similar situation. Woman wanted to get pregnant by her husband, but he wasn't cooperating. So she hired me to facilitate things. How does that work exactly? I seduce the husband, make sure to collect any evidence, and deliver it to the wife. She handles the rest. Sounds complicated. Not really. Men are pretty predictable when you know which buttons to push. This guy was easy. Lonely, bitter, couple of drinks, and he was putty in my hands. What happened to the evidence? Gave it to my contact. She paid me $5,000 for one night's work. Easiest money I ever made. Jill keeps her talking for another 10 minutes, getting details, names, specifics. All of it recorded on her phone. all of it admissible in court. When Monica finally leaves, Jill comes over to my table with a smile that could light up Times Square. "Got her," she says. "Full confession, names, payment details, the whole thing." Is it enough? It's enough to destroy your wife's credibility in any legal proceeding, and enough to charge her with fraud if you want to go that route. That night, I listened to the recording 3 times. Each time I feel a mixture of vindication and disgust. Vindication because I was right. The whole thing was a setup. Disgust because the woman I married is capable of something this calculated and cruel. The next morning, I call Kessler. "I need to see you," I tell him. "I have some new information about my wife's pregnancy." "What kind of information?" "The kind that's going to make this inheritance situation very interesting." An hour later, I'm sitting in Kessler's office, playing him the recording. His expression goes from curious to shocked to something that might be admiration. "Mr. Porter, this is extraordinary. Is it enough to void the inheritance clause?" "It's enough to void the marriage. Fraud, conspiracy, theft of genetic material. Your wife has committed at least 3 felonies that I can identify off the top of my head." "But what about the baby? If the DNA test proves it's mine?" "That's where things get complicated. The child would still be your biological offspring, which technically satisfies the terms of the will. But the method by which the child was conceived could be grounds for challenging the inheritance." "What do you recommend?" Kessler leans back in his chair, thinking. "We wait for the DNA results. If the child is yours, we have leverage. If it's not, your wife loses everything automatically. And if it is mine, then we negotiate from a position of strength. Your wife has committed serious crimes to get what she wants. That gives us considerable power in any settlement discussions." The DNA results come back a week later. "The baby is mine." Vanessa calls me immediately, her voice triumphant. "I told you so. It's your baby, Nate. Our baby." "Congratulations on your successful fraud. It's not fraud if the baby is actually yours. The method matters, Vanessa. How you got pregnant matters. Can you prove how I got pregnant?" "Actually, yes, I can." The line goes quiet. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I have Monica's full confession. I have the payment records. I have evidence of the entire conspiracy." "You're bluffing." "Am I? Want to hear the recording?" I play 30 seconds of Monica's confession. Vanessa's breathing gets heavier as she listens. "That doesn't prove anything," she says when it's over, but her voice lacks conviction. "It proves everything. Conspiracy, fraud, theft. You're looking at serious jail time if I press charges." "You wouldn't." "Try me." Another long pause. "What do you want?" "I want justice. I want consequences. I want you to pay for what you've done." "Fine. You want money? I'll give you money, half the inheritance. We'll split it 50-50. "I don't want your money, Vanessa." "Then what?" "I want revenge." I hang up before she can respond. Outside Kessler's office window, it's starting to rain. The drops hit the glass like tiny explosions, each one distorting the view a little more. My phone buzzes with a text from Vanessa. "We need to talk face to face. This is getting out of hand." I type back, "You're right. It is getting out of hand. Your hand." She doesn't respond for an hour. When she finally does, it's just one word. "Please." I stare at that word for a long time. Please. Such a small word for such a big request. She's asking for mercy, for forgiveness, for a second chance she hasn't earned and doesn't deserve. I delete the message without responding. Tomorrow, I start planning my revenge. The first shot I fire is legal. Kessler files a motion for paternity fraud, requesting full disclosure of Vanessa's finances, communications, and associations during the relevant time period. It's a fishing expedition, but a legitimate one. And it sends a clear message. I'm not backing down. Vanessa's response is swift and predictable. She hires the most expensive divorce attorney in Connecticut, a shark named Patricia Wolf, who specializes in protecting wealthy wives from their vindictive husbands. Mrs. Porter maintains that the pregnancy resulted from consensual relations between the parties, Wolf states in her initial filing. Any allegations of fraud or conspiracy are categorically denied and appear to be the desperate fabrications of a husband seeking to avoid his parental responsibilities. It's a good strategy, but it has one fatal flaw. I have evidence. The first hearing is a preliminary matter, just establishing the basic facts and setting ground rules for discovery. I sit in the back of the courtroom, watching Vanessa play the role of wronged wife. She's dressed conservatively, her pregnancy barely showing, looking like the picture of respectability. Judge Martinez is a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who's seen every kind of marital dispute imaginable. She listens to both sides with the patience of someone who's heard it all before. Mr. Porter alleges fraud in the conception of the child, she says, reading from her notes. Mrs. Porter denies these allegations. The court will allow discovery to proceed, but I want to make something clear to both parties. She looks directly at Vanessa, then at me. If there is evidence of criminal activity in this case, I will not hesitate to refer the matter to the district attorney's office. Fraud is fraud, regardless of the family relationship between the parties. Am I understood? Both lawyers nod. Vanessa's face has gone pale. After the hearing, I'm walking to my truck when Vanessa's mother intercepts me. Eleanor Walsh is 72 years old and meaner than a rattlesnake with hemorrhoids. She's never liked me, and the feeling is mutual. You're making a mistake, Nate, she says without preamble. Which mistake would that be? Marrying your daughter or trying to hold her accountable for her crimes? Vanessa is carrying your child. Your child. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It means I'm going to be a father. It doesn't mean I'm going to let your daughter steal $33 million through fraud and conspiracy. Eleanor reaches into her purse and pulls out a checkbook. How much do you want? To make this go away. You think you can bribe me? Everyone has a price. What's yours? How much did Vanessa pay you to come here and try to buy me off? I'm trying to protect my family. Your family is the problem. I start to walk away, but Eleanor grabs my arm. $1 million, she says. Cash? Drop the lawsuit, reconcile with Vanessa, and I'll write you a check right now. I look down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. Take your hand off me. She doesn't move. $2 million. Last warning. She lets go, but doesn't back down. You're going to regret this. When that baby is born, when you realize what you've thrown away, you're going to wish you'd taken my offer. The only thing I regret is not seeing through your daughter's act sooner. That night, I meet with Jill to plan the next phase of our investigation. We're sitting in her office, surrounded by files, photographs, and evidence boards that look like something out of a police procedural. Vanessa's getting desperate, Jill says. First the legal maneuvering, now the bribery attempt. She's running out of options. What's our next move? We go after her support network, Serena Walsh, Leah Morrison, anyone who helped with the conspiracy. We make them choose between protecting Vanessa and protecting themselves. How do we do that? We make it clear that conspiracy charges don't just apply to the principal. Anyone who aided or abetted the fraud is equally liable. Jill's plan is elegant in its simplicity. We approach Serena first, since she's the one who actually paid Monica. We make it clear that she's facing serious legal consequences unless she cooperates. The meeting happens at a restaurant downtown. Serena shows up looking nervous, constantly checking her phone, jumping at every sound. She orders a salad and doesn't touch it. I don't know why you wanted to meet, she says. I don't have anything to say to you. That's okay, I tell her. I have plenty to say to you. I slide a folder across the table. Inside are copies of bank records showing the payment to Monica, phone records showing calls between Serena and Vanessa, and a transcript of Monica's confession. Serena's face goes white as she reads. Where did you get this? Does it matter? The question is, what are you going to do about it? I don't understand. Conspiracy to commit fraud is a felony, Serena. You could be looking at 5 to 10 years in prison. Your kids would be in high school by the time you got out. This is blackmail. No, this is reality. You helped Vanessa commit a serious crime. Now you have to decide whether you're going down with her or saving yourself. She's quiet for a long time, staring at the documents. What do you want? I want the truth. All of it. Whose idea was it? How did you find Monica? What was the original plan? I can't. Vanessa's my best friend. Vanessa's going to throw you under the bus the moment it's convenient. You know that, right? When the prosecutor offers her a deal, she'll give them your name without hesitation. Serena starts crying. Not the pretty, delicate tears of a movie heroine, but the ugly, desperate sobs of someone whose world is collapsing. It was her idea, she finally says. All of it. She found Monica online, planned the whole thing. I just paid for it. Why? Because she asked me to. Because she's been my friend since college. Because I thought it was harmless. Harmless? You helped her steal genetic material from her husband? She said you'd never know. She said it would work out for everyone. I lean forward. I'm going to give you one chance to do the right thing. You testify truthfully about your role in this conspiracy, and I'll ask the prosecutor to consider a plea deal. You stay loyal to Vanessa, and you go down with her. What kind of plea deal? Probation, maybe community service, a chance to rebuild your life instead of spending it in prison? She's quiet for another long moment. I need to think about it. You have 24 hours. The next day, Serena calls Jill and agrees to cooperate. She provides a full statement detailing the conspiracy, including text messages, phone calls, and planning sessions. It's enough to destroy Vanessa's credibility completely. But I'm not done yet. The psychological warfare is just as important as the legal battle. I want Vanessa to understand that her actions have consequences, that she can't manipulate and betray people without paying a price. I start small. I have Jill leak selected details of the case to a gossip blogger who covers Connecticut society. Nothing that would compromise the legal proceedings, just enough to let Vanessa's social circle know that their golden girl isn't as perfect as she pretends to be. The effect is immediate. Vanessa's friends start distancing themselves. Invitations dry up. The social media posts that used to celebrate her every move suddenly stop. Then I escalate. I hire a billboard company to put up a sign on the highway near Vanessa's country club. It shows a picture of a pregnancy test with the caption, "Some miracles require planning." It's subtle enough to avoid legal trouble, but obvious enough that everyone in her circle gets the message. Vanessa calls me, screaming, "Take it down! Take it down right now!" Take what down? You know what? That billboard? I have no idea what you're talking about. This is maltreatment. This is consequences. The final piece of psychological pressure comes from an unexpected source, Tyler, the pool boy. Apparently, he's been following the case in the gossip blogs and has decided that being associated with Vanessa is bad for his reputation. He shows up at Ray's bar one night, looking nervous and desperate. "I need to talk to you," he says. "About what?" "About Vanessa. About what really happened." It turns out, Tyler knows more than I thought. He was there when Vanessa and Serena planned the Monica operation. He heard them discussing it, laughing about how easy it would be to manipulate me. "She said you were pathetic," Tyler tells me. "She said you'd never figure it out because you were too stupid and too desperate." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because she threw me away the moment things got complicated. Because she used me just like she used you." "What do you want?" "I want to testify. I want to tell the truth about what she said, what she planned." I look at this kid, because that's what he is, really. Just a kid who got in over his head, and see something I recognize. He's been manipulated and discarded just like I was. "Okay," I tell him, "let's talk." By the end of the week, I have 3 witnesses ready to testify against Vanessa: Monica, Serena, and Tyler. I have documentary evidence of the conspiracy. I have financial records showing the payments. Most importantly, I have momentum. Vanessa's world is collapsing, and she knows it. Her friends have abandoned her. Her reputation is in ruins. Her legal position is hopeless. But I'm not done yet. The real revenge is still to come. The breaking point comes when Vanessa tries one last desperate gambit. She shows up at my new apartment. I've finally moved out of Ray's parking lot. At 11 o'clock at night, wearing a trench coat and nothing else. "I made a mistake," she says when I open the door. "A terrible mistake, but we can fix this. Put some clothes on, Vanessa. I'm carrying your baby. That has to count for something." "It counts for child support. That's about it." She pushes past me into the apartment, letting the coat fall open. "Remember when we were happy? Remember when we loved each other?" "I remember when I thought we loved each other. Turns out I was wrong about a lot of things. We can have that again. We can be a family." "We can never be a family. You made sure of that when you decided to commit fraud instead of having an honest conversation." She starts crying. Real tears this time. Not the calculated manipulation I've grown used to. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was scared of losing everything." "So you decided to steal it instead." "I didn't steal anything. It's my father's money." "Your father's money with conditions. Conditions you violated the moment you hired Monica." She stops crying abruptly, her face hardening. "You can't prove anything." "I can prove everything. Monica confessed. Serena's cooperating. Tyler's ready to testify. Your little conspiracy is falling apart." "Tyler doesn't know anything. He knows you called me pathetic. He knows you said I was too stupid to figure out what you were doing. He was there, Vanessa. He heard everything." The color drains from her face. He's lying. 3 witnesses, financial records, recorded confessions. That's not lying. That's evidence. She pulls the coat closed, finally showing some modesty. "What do you want? Money? I'll give you half of everything. I don't want your money. Then what? I want justice. I want consequences. I want everyone to know exactly who you are and what you've done. You're going to destroy me. No, Vanessa, you destroyed yourself. I'm just making sure everyone sees the wreckage. She leaves without another word, but I know this isn't over. Desperate people do desperate things, and Vanessa is nothing if not desperate. I'm right to be worried. 2 days later, I'm working on a renovation project across town when my phone rings. It's Ray, and he sounds panicked. You need to get down here right now. What's wrong? Vanessa's here with some guys I don't recognize. They're asking questions about you, about where you live, about your schedule. What kind of guys? The kind that get paid to break things. I drop my tools and drive to Ray's bar as fast as I can without getting arrested. When I arrive, Vanessa's sitting at a corner table with 2 men who look like they bench press motorcycles for fun. They're not talking, just watching the room like hunters sizing up prey. I walk over to their table and sit down without being invited. Gentlemen, I say to the 2 muscle-bound strangers, I'm Nate Porter. I understand you've been asking about me. The bigger one, and that's saying something, looks me up and down like he's deciding which bones to break first. You're smaller than I expected. I get that a lot. Usually, right before I prove that size isn't everything. Vanessa leans forward. Nate, meet Tommy and Vincent. They're here to help me resolve our little disagreement. By disagreement, you mean the part where you committed multiple felonies? By disagreement, I mean the part where you're trying to steal my inheritance. Tommy cracks his knuckles. It sounds like gunshots. Lady says you're causing problems. The lady's facing 5 to 10 in federal prison. I'd say her problems are self-inflicted. Vincent speaks for the first time. His voice sounds like gravel in a blender. Maybe you should drop the lawsuit. Focus on being a good father instead of a vindictive ex-husband. Maybe you should focus on not getting arrested for intimidation and conspiracy. I pull out my phone and show them the screen. It's been recording since I sat down. Threatening a witness in a federal investigation is a felony, I tell them. Conspiracy to obstruct justice is another felony. You gentlemen are racking up quite a collection. Tommy reaches for the phone, but I'm faster. Years of construction work have given me quick reflexes and strong hands. I grab his wrist and twist, applying pressure to the nerve cluster just below his thumb. He tries to pull away, but I increase the pressure. I learned this in the Army, I tell him conversationally. It's called a compliance hold. The more you struggle, the more it hurts. Let go of him, Vincent says, starting to stand. Sit down, Ray says from behind the bar. He's holding a baseball bat and wearing an expression that suggests he knows how to use it. This is my place. My rules. Vincent sits. I release Tommy's wrist and lean back in my chair. Here's what's going to happen. You 2 are going to walk out of here and never come back. Vanessa's going to pay your bill and apologize to Ray for bringing trouble into his establishment. And if I ever see either of you again, I'm going to have you arrested for witness intimidation. You can't prove we threatened you, Tommy says, rubbing his wrist. I hold up my phone again. Actually, I can. It's all recorded. Your names, your faces, your very clear implications that I should drop my lawsuit or face consequences. Vanessa looks like she's swallowed something poisonous. This isn't over. Yes, it is. This part is over. The next part is going to be much worse for you. They leave, but not before Tommy gives me a look that promises future violence. I don't care. I've dealt with scarier people in scarier places, and I'm not backing down now. That night, I call Jill and tell her about the encounter. She's escalating, Jill says. Hiring muscle means she's running out of legal options. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. They also do dangerous things. You need to be careful. I'm always careful. I'm serious, Nate. Vanessa's looking at serious prison time. People have eliminated for less. She's right, of course. But I'm too close to victory to back down now. The next morning, I put my plan into motion. I call everyone I know in Vanessa's social circle, friends, acquaintances, business associates, and invite them to a party. A celebration of truth at the mansion that used to be my home. What are we celebrating? Asks Jennifer Walsh, one of Vanessa's country club friends. Justice, I tell her, and consequences. You won't want to miss it. The invitations go out by email, text message, and social media. I keep the details vague, but make it clear that there will be revelations about Vanessa's recent legal troubles. Within hours, it's the most anticipated social event in Connecticut. Everyone wants to see the final act of the Porter marriage drama. Vanessa tries to stop it, of course. She calls, texts, emails, even shows up at my apartment again. But there's nothing she can do. The party isn't at her house. It's at the country club where she's been a member for 10 years. I've rented the main ballroom for the evening. I've hired caterers, a bartender, even a photographer to document the festivities. Most importantly, I've prepared a presentation. The night of the party, over 100 people show up. Vanessa's entire social circle is there, along with reporters, bloggers, and curiosity seekers who've been following the case online. Vanessa arrives fashionably late, wearing a black dress that emphasizes her pregnancy. She's brought Tyler as her date, apparently deciding that if her reputation is already destroyed, she might as well embrace the scandal. "Ladies and gentlemen," I say, taking the microphone at exactly 9 o'clock. "Thank you for coming to tonight's celebration of truth and consequences." The room goes quiet. Everyone knows something big is about to happen. 3 months ago, my wife inherited $33 million from her father. What most of you don't know is that the inheritance came with conditions. Specifically, she had to produce an heir with me within 18 months, or the money would go to charity. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Vanessa's face has gone pale. When Vanessa realized I wasn't interested in reconciling our marriage, she decided to take matters into her own hands. She hired a courtesan named Monica to seduce me, steal my genetic material, and use it to impregnate herself. The murmurs turn to gasps. People are pulling out their phones, recording everything. I have confessions from the courtesan, financial records showing the payments, and testimony from multiple witnesses who heard Vanessa planning the entire conspiracy. I click a remote, and a large screen behind me lights up with Monica's confession recording. Her voice fills the room as she describes in detail how she was hired to seduce me and collect evidence of our encounter. The crowd is riveted. This is better than reality television because it's real. When the recording ends, I continue. Vanessa Porter committed fraud, conspiracy, and theft to steal $33 million. She violated the terms of her father's will, betrayed her marriage vows, and committed multiple felonies in pursuit of money that was never rightfully hers. Vanessa stands up, her face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "This is all lies. He's making it up because he's jealous and vindictive." "Really?" I click the remote again. This time, it's Serena's confession, detailing her role in the conspiracy and Vanessa's planning sessions. Vanessa looks at Serena, who's sitting 3 tables away, looking like she wants to disappear. "You betrayed me," Vanessa says. "You betrayed yourself," Serena replies. "I just told the truth." The final recording is Tyler's testimony about overhearing Vanessa's plans and her disparaging comments about me. When it ends, the room is completely silent. "The DNA test confirms that Vanessa is carrying my child," I say. "But the method by which that child was conceived violates both the law and the terms of her father's will. She will face criminal charges, lose the inheritance, and spend the next several years in prison." Vanessa is crying now, ugly sobs that shake her whole body. Tyler has moved away from her, clearly not wanting to be associated with the scandal anymore. "But I'm not done," I continue. "Because consequences aren't just legal, they're social, they're personal, they're permanent." I click the remote one last time. The screen shows a montage of photos from our marriage, our wedding day, anniversaries, vacations, holidays. But each photo is captioned with text messages between Vanessa and her friends, disparaging me, mocking our marriage, planning her various betrayals. The effect is devastating. Everyone can see the contrast between the happy couple in the photos and the cruel, calculating woman revealed in the text messages. This is who Vanessa Porter really is, I say. Not the grieving daughter or the wronged wife she's pretended to be, but a manipulative, criminal sociopath who will do anything for money. Vanessa stands up, swaying slightly. "You fool!" she screams. "You vindictive, pathetic fool!" She picks up a wine glass and throws it at me. It misses, shattering against the screen behind me. Security moves to restrain her, but she breaks free and lunges at me. I sidestep easily, and she stumbles, nearly falling. "Get your hands off me!" She shrieks as security finally restrains her. "This is all lies! He's lying!" But no one believes her anymore. The evidence is too overwhelming, the recording's too clear, the pattern too obvious. As security escorts Vanessa from the room, she turns back to scream at me one last time. "This isn't over! You'll pay for this! You'll pay for everything!" The room erupts in applause as she's dragged away. People are cheering, taking pictures, posting videos to social media. I've won. Completely, totally, and publicly. But the best part is still to come. The legal aftermath is swift and brutal. Within a week of the party, Vanessa is arrested on charges of fraud, conspiracy, and theft. The district attorney, emboldened by the overwhelming evidence and public attention, decides to prosecute to the full extent of the law. Vanessa's bail is set at $5 million. She can't make it without accessing the inheritance money, which is now frozen pending the outcome of the criminal case. She spends 3 days in county lockup before her mother finally mortgages her house to pay a bail bondsman. The media coverage is relentless. The story has everything: wealth, betrayal, sex, crime, and a dramatic public confrontation. Cable news shows dissect every detail. Social media explodes with memes and commentary. Vanessa becomes the most hated woman in Connecticut overnight. Her lawyer, Patricia Wolf, tries to negotiate a plea deal, but I've made it clear through Kessler that I want the maximum penalty. No deals, no reduced charges, no mercy. Your client committed premeditated fraud to steal $33 million, Kessler tells Wolf during a settlement conference. She hired a courtesan, sedated my client, and stole his genetic material. This isn't a crime of passion or a moment of weakness. This was a calculated conspiracy that took weeks to plan and execute. My client is pregnant, Wolf responds. Surely that's worth some consideration. Your client's pregnancy is the result of her crimes. It doesn't mitigate them. The trial is scheduled for 6 months later, but I'm not waiting for the legal system to deliver justice. I have my own plans for Vanessa. The first phase involves the inheritance. With Vanessa facing criminal charges, the probate court agrees to freeze the estate pending resolution of the case. But there's a provision in the will I haven't mentioned yet, one that even Kessler didn't initially notice. If Vanessa is found guilty of any crime related to the inheritance, the money doesn't just go to charity. It goes to the person who exposed the crime, me. Your father-in-law was remarkably thorough, Kessler explains when he discovers this clause. He anticipated the possibility that someone might try to defraud the estate and built-in protections. So if Vanessa is convicted, I get the money. All of it. $33 million plus interest and penalties. It's poetic justice. Vanessa's crimes don't just cost her the inheritance. They transfer it to the person she tried to victimize. But money isn't enough. I want her to understand the full scope of her losses. The second phase involves Tyler. The pool boy has been trying to distance himself from Vanessa since the party, but I'm not letting him off that easily. He was part of the conspiracy, even if he wasn't charged. I arranged for him to lose his job at the country club. A few words to the right people about his involvement in the scandal, and suddenly he's unemployable in Connecticut's elite social circles. Then I have Jill follow him, document his activities, and discover something interesting. Tyler has been skimming money from his wealthy clients for years. Small amounts, nothing that would be noticed individually, but it adds up to grand theft. I anonymously tip off the police. Tyler is arrested a week later. The third phase is more personal. I want Vanessa to experience the same humiliation and betrayal she inflicted on me. I start by systematically destroying her remaining relationships. Her friends have already abandoned her, but there are still family members and professional associates who maintain contact out of loyalty or obligation. I make sure they all know exactly what Vanessa did and how she did it. I share the recordings, the evidence, the full scope of her betrayal. One by one, they cut ties with her. Her mother is the last holdout, but even Eleanor Walsh has limits. When she realizes that her daughter's crimes have cost her the inheritance and potentially her freedom, she stops taking Vanessa's calls. You did this to yourself, Eleanor tells Vanessa during their final conversation, which I know about because Jill has been monitoring Vanessa's phone calls as part of the ongoing investigation. I can't help you anymore. By the time the trial begins, Vanessa is completely isolated. No friends, no family support, no money for a decent lawyer. She's represented by a public defender who's overworked and underprepared. The trial itself is a formality. The evidence is overwhelming, the witnesses credible, the crime undeniable. The jury deliberates for less than 2 hours before returning a guilty verdict on all charges. Vanessa is sentenced to 7 years in federal prison, but I'm still not done. The final phase of my revenge takes place on the day Vanessa reports to prison. I arranged to be there, along with a small crowd of reporters and photographers. Vanessa arrives in handcuffs, wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hair unwashed and her face puffy from crying. She looks nothing like the glamorous socialite who threw me out of my own house 9 months ago. As she's being led into the prison, she sees me standing by the fence. Our eyes meet for a moment, and I see something I've never seen in her face before. Complete defeat. "This is what consequences look like," I call out to her. "Remember that for the next 7 years." She doesn't respond, just looks away and lets the guards lead her inside. That afternoon, I meet with Kessler to finalize the inheritance transfer. $33 million, officially mine, as of the moment Vanessa's conviction became final. "What are you going to do with it?" Kessler asks as I sign the paperwork. "Something she never would have thought of," I tell him. "Something useful." "I donate $20 million to veterans charities, specifically programs that help former soldiers transition to civilian careers. It's fitting, since Vanessa always looked down on my military service. The remaining $13 million I use to start a foundation that provides legal aid to people victimized by fraud and conspiracy. I name it the Truth and Consequences Foundation, and I make sure the press release mentions that it was funded by money recovered from a criminal who tried to steal it through deception. The final insult to Vanessa's legacy. 6 months later, I'm standing in the backyard of my new house, a modest place, nothing like the mansion I used to share with Vanessa, when my phone rings. It's the prison. "Mr. Porter, this is Warden Johnson at Federal Correctional Institution, Danbury. I'm calling about your wife." "Ex-wife. What about her?" "She's requested a meeting with you. She says it's about your child." "Vanessa gave birth 3 months ago, a daughter. I've been fighting for custody, and the court has already indicated that a convicted felon won't be getting parental rights." "What does she want?" "She says she wants to apologize. She says she wants to make things right." I think about it for exactly 3 seconds. "Tell her I said no. Tell her I said consequences are permanent, just like the choices that create them." "Are you sure?" She seemed pretty desperate. "I'm sure. And Warden? If she requests another meeting, the answer will still be no." I hang up and look at the custody papers on my kitchen table. In 2 weeks, I'll have full legal custody of my daughter. She'll grow up knowing the truth about her mother, understanding that actions have consequences, learning the difference between right and wrong. Everything Vanessa never learned. My phone buzzes with a text from Ray. "Saw the news about the foundation. Your old man would be proud." He's right. My father always said that the best revenge is living well and doing right. I'm doing both. Vanessa Porter stole from me, lied to me, betrayed me, and tried to destroy me. She thought I was weak, stupid, and disposable. She was wrong about everything. Now she's in prison, broke, alone, and forgotten. Her daughter will grow up with my name, not hers. Her inheritance went to causes she despised. Her friends and family have abandoned her. Her reputation is permanently destroyed, and I'm free, wealthy, and vindicated. Justice served, revenge complete, consequences delivered. Some people never learn that actions have consequences. Vanessa Porter learned it too late to matter, but she learned it. The end. Final character count, 62,847 characters.